Let's start with what's going on in Bitcoin this week.
So I created a Bitcoin monitor on my many Bloomberg screens, and I've got a Bitcoin monitor. I've been monitoring a bunch of these stocks as well. I'm working on a Bloomberg news story coming soon to a Bloomberg terminal near you. Check that out shortly.
I will.
About one of the Bitcoin stocks. But today was weird because I kept noticing the price looked like it was up for me today. And actually, since this morning, since the beginning of New York Stock Exchange trading today, it's not a stock, but most prices in the U.S. start with a 9:30 quote in New York. Bitcoin's up, and it's up big today. It's up about 24% since 9:30 this morning, New York time, 6:30 our time. So basically, since I've been awake today, Bitcoin's been rallying after a little bit of a sell-off, or after a big sell-off, I should say. And I think what this really highlights is the enormous volatility that is still extant in this, the trade of Bitcoin and a lot of the other cyber currencies, and then added to that a lot of the equities that have been formed around this idea of blockchain and Bitcoin, because despite the futures contracts that are trading now in size in Chicago.
And yet you still have the skeptics. Mike Novogratz, the hedge fund manager, had this to say about his Bitcoin plans. Take a listen.
This is a bubble, and there's a lot of fraud mixed in. There's a lot of froth and fraud in anything that's as exciting as this. So I think this is going to become the biggest bubble of our lifetimes by a long shot, mostly because it's so global.
I want the record to show I didn't say that.
Mostly because it's so global.
He also said he is shelving plans for a cryptocurrency hedge fund. David, look, where do you fall? I've asked you every week where you fall. After this week, where do you stand right now on Bitcoin?
My basic views haven't changed, but it's very, I think, important that someone like Mike Novogratz, who's a very well-respected investor and whose enthusiasm for Bitcoin has been used by many as a legitimizer for the idea that this thing could go to the moon, is himself now saying it could be the biggest bubble of his lifetime. So I think that's a very healthy thing, because what we have here is something that almost certainly is going to be worth a lot at some point. But there is no objective reason why it should be worth any given amount at any given moment, in my opinion. I mean, people say it could go to $1 million, 400 million. I mean, people have thrown out crazy numbers, and any one of them is equally valid, including zero. So until Bitcoin settles down and it becomes much clearer what, if anything, it's actually used for in the world, I think the volatility is a consequence of genuine uncertainty about what people are buying, and that will continue.